everyone. My name is Imani Monet, and this is the Behind the Beauty podcast. Now, I haven't been here in quite some time because, number one, I redid the front of my store. If you don't know, Behind the Beauty podcast is a podcast ran by me, Imani Monet, the founder of Beauty Strike, which is a vegan and cruelty-free skincare brand. And we have a spa located here in Clinton Hill, Brooklyn, where we do facials, body treatments, and now Pilates. So we have Pilates reformers classes, which the reformers are right here next to me. Hence why I'm in like a different area and zone of the store. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and a little bit about why I have been gone from the podcast, because doing that, hiring employees, doing trial things, figuring out what class sizes, what classes we're having, what frequency, all of these things in addition to painting, moving around furniture, and doing all of these things for the store has been quite, on top of our facials and our products and things that ship worldwide. We ship our skincare worldwide. So on top of that, it's been a little bit, difficult to manage on top of keeping the podcast, but I for sure wanted to make the podcast and just content creation overall to be a focus of mine this year. It's about time. I've done it. I've done the whole be a physical business owner, show up every day at the store. And 10 years into this, I want to continue to grow on my content creation. Content creation has also been a little bit scary for me in the climate that we're in, because I feel like there's a lot of nuance to opinions. And it's been a lot of like clickbaity things and clips being circulated and going around for podcasts and things like that kind of misconstrue the whole sentence and the whole sentiment from what people are actually saying, what they mean, and the nuance about what they mean, because everyone has nuance because we've been through different religious, social, economic upbringings, and there are different opinions about these things. For me, I can say that I'm very grounded in the sense that I grew up with a single mother who I've seen bust her butt to get to where she is. And literally no one handed anything to her. She worked tirelessly in and out to do things. And, I had other family situations that people wouldn't look at me and just assume that I've been through. So I feel like I have a pretty grounded life experience. And while I have been lucky, I've had people give me chances, and I've had situations that most people don't have, I still understand and value perspective with both sides of things, but I do stand firmly in what I believe. And with that, hi, neighbor. With that, I wanted to speak about how being a business owner is not relatable. Being a business owner is just not relatable. It's not. It's just not. Being a business owner, people assume, and it's not wrong for people to assume, that you can create your own schedule, you work when you want, you have endless cash flow because you have a business. And, I've even spoken to family members about like helping me open another store. And they're just like, well, I see you doing well. So like open another store. I'll give you this amount of money. How long is it going to take me to get that money back? And it's like, do you realize that I only get paid when there's a surplus? So overhead, employees, storefront, utilities, things that it takes to run the business. And then if there's anything left, then maybe you want to spend that into marketing to get ads. So then the next month there are people still coming in. Um, and then after that, maybe inventory, you want to expand inventory, you want to update something, you want to refresh something, like I refreshed the front of the store, you know, so that people can enjoy it, they can like it, it can feel like something new, even though we've been here for like 7-8 years now. So, you know, there's you're not going to just give me like $10,000 in the next 2 months you're going to get $20,000. That's not how business works, you know. So people assume that that's like how business owners live and that's how business runs and functions. With the latest news of Hanifa putting a pause on their operations, I wanted to come on and speak about being a business owner, being a customer and a consumer, and things that I've learned about product sales, because yes, product sales are a part of our business. I want to make it a huger part. It was a huger part at one point of time, but because of the things that I'm going to say following this statement, I did take a pause on promoting products as heavily because there are different and many other parts of the business of Beauty Strike that I wanted to focus on and perfect until I can get there and reach it and perfect that. So pre-orders, we're all familiar with the pre-order system. You see a date when the product should ship by, you order the product in advance, and thus the company uses that money to allocate the product and get the product to you by such date. Now, since we've lived in a tariff and I would say kind of unstable world economy, it's changed so much. And I don't think the average person realizes that, even though I'm not asking you to give a business grace, I'm asking you to give the people behind the business grace. I've seen a lot of controversy on Twitter or X and TikTok about Hanifa's latest release that they are going to take a pause because there's been a lot of issues in the company that, you know, they want to reorganize and fix before continuing to do business, which is a very smart and a very thought out and sound idea, especially because the owner and founder recently had her second child. So as a founder-led owned company, I can also relate to this because I had a baby a year and a half ago. My baby's 18 months at the time of this recording, and I'm still breastfeeding. Okay. Did I ever think that I was going to be the type of mom to breastfeed until my child was like almost literally 2 years old? No. Is it very far-fetched from my personality to do that? No. But still, it's a lot of work. And it's just, you know, hey, I probably will go into that on a personal platform about, you know, the joys of breastfeeding. But as a new mother, I can understand the toll of having two kids close to each other, because I don't even think her oldest is like 5 years old yet. So it might be like a 2 under 2 situation or a 2 under 3 situation. Either way, having a kid does put a emotional, mental, and physical load on you. While it might not be stressful, or it might not be something that is like as strenuous as maybe possibly being a single mother who doesn't have as much resources as someone of Hanifa's status, having a child just still does affect your earning capability and your productivity capability when it comes to the entrepreneurial and corporate landscape. And I'm not just saying a bunch of words because this is what I'm taught. I'm saying a bunch of words because this is what I know to be a fact. For the last 10 years, I have been building this brand, Beauty Strike. And for most of it, I was in my 20s. And even just the energy payoff that you have in your 20s is so much different from your 30s. Like, in all honesty, I used to work 16-hour days, 17-hour days, because at the beginning of my business, products was always the core. I did products and services. So I always knew, like, at the end of my service day, I was going to be packing, filling, labeling, shipping products. And that's what I did. So I can't even, as someone who's in my 30s, my early 30s, I can't even imagine doing that same amount or load of work in my 30s and now having a child. Like, without even the child element, the being in my 30s element makes things so much different. Like, child, I worked the other day, like a 12-hour day here at the store. And the next day, I couldn't even get up. And I take really great care of myself. Like, I go above average to take care of myself. I have air compression leggings that you put the air compression, well, they're air compression massagers. So I take a bath. I have the bath salts. I have the air compression massagers on my leg. I keep my feet laid up at night, like up elevated. So they're not, because as I've been getting older, the more swollen my legs have been getting. It's just like, these are things about getting older that nobody really speaks about. And then you want to throw on top of that, I'm the mom. Even though I have a super, super, super supportive partner who is happy and loves his son, who will bathe his son, who, he's a parent, There's things with that, but still, like, he is a parent. And he takes care of his child like he is the parent as well. Feeds the child, bathes the child. I am still mommy. Like, at the end of the day, even if daddy puts the baby to sleep, baby's going to wake up and want mama, because I'm the comfort. I'm the home. I'm what's known to the baby. And I'm the milk as well. So even if I pump, like, he would definitely want mommy's milk, like, So that also takes a toll, because now I'm not sleeping through the night or sleeping as deeply or as effectively or restoratively as I possibly could if I wasn't breastfeeding or co-sleeping. And I don't know Hanifa's situation, but being a mom, even if you have a night nurse, even if you have staff, even if you have help, you are still the mom. You are still the mother. And having a child does take some type of financial and I'm looking for the word, because I don't want to say something that comes off as if I'm not speaking from the heart, or speaking as if having a child is negative. I've always wanted to be a mother. I've always wanted to have a family. I've always wanted to give my kids the best version of me. I've always wanted to come from a healed and good parenting perspective, where I'm thinking about what my kids' wants and needs would be. And a part of that was understanding that my career might take a backseat and I might not be able to go as hard because I don't have kids. I mean, because I do have kids in my career. I remember reading something like, or it was a quote from like JT. She's saying, I don't have to go as hard. I don't have kids. Like, but the crazy part about it is most mothers don't go hard with the level of energy we expend, because we know that we have to give that energy to our child. So we make better, more informed, thought out decisions with our energy, with our time, with our money, with our resources than if we weren't a mother. But being a mother, I understood that a part of my career has to go on pause or has to go on hold. And I am a woman who is very entrepreneurial. I am a woman who, I have a partner that's very understanding and will drop anything to be a parent so I can do what I need to do and make my dreams come true. But still, I'm still making different decisions because I have a child and I want to spend that time with my child. And I do value my business as my first child, but this is my first real child. Do you understand? So I understand where Miss Hanifa is coming from with regards to taking a pause, because the body might need it, the mind might need it. And everybody's postpartum journey is not the same. I can say for me, postpartum, like the first 3 months, I really don't really remember. And I didn't even keep a journal, which is not like me because I wanted to keep a journal. So, because my mom also had a memory lapse when she had my younger sister. And I knew that it was very much so a possibility for me to have that. But postpartum hits everybody different. I know for the first 3 months for me, I didn't remember a lot. And that wasn't like totally the best thing I could say. But after that, I kind of like forced myself to go out and get dressed and like do things and be productive in a way that is away from my child. Like being a productive mom is being productive, like making sure the child is fed, good, happy, a consistent routine, consistent feeding times, consistent bedtimes, consistent changing. The laundry is consistently done. The housework is consistently done. But then like you have to feel productive, especially as a high or a overachiever. You have to make sure that you feel productive in the ways that matter to you, because if you don't feel important or putting things as a priority in areas that matter to you, then you're not going to feel like you're achieving anything. And then that becomes sadness, because I've never valued like having all my laundry done as like a like significant goal. Even though it would be on my weekly goal list, I wouldn't feel like shattered if I didn't do it at the end of the week. But not checking in on clients, not checking in on orders, not checking in on the status of my store, that is something that would give me super anxiety if I didn't do that for at least 2 days. Like what? Like I didn't check on anybody. I didn't check on anything. I didn't see what's going on. I didn't send a newsletter. I didn't see any emails. Like I didn't confirm if people received their orders. I didn't confirm to see if we have anything that needs to be ordered so we can keep business and flow going. Like that, made me feel unproductive. And then that made me feel bad. And then it made me feel guilty. And then it made me feel like I'm a loser. I'm even laughing because like me a loser, but, but it made me feel these things that weren't necessarily real. And I understand that as a mother, like you're a mom, you're thrusted into this experience of being a mother and being the comfort that the baby knows and loves. And just understanding that your productivity after having a child goes down. So I can only imagine after having two and being an entrepreneur that you should plan accordingly. So the second part of the things that I've been hearing about Hanifa and the brand has been like the issues with the sizing, with the runs, with the pre-orders. For me as a customer, if I pre-order something, I know not to expect it for at least a month or two after the pre-order has been done, because they're pre-orders. Pre-orders tell me that they don't have the product on stock. And that means that anything within the production run can go bad. What if they receive the production run, especially in clothing, and then it's not of quality, and then they have to start it all over again? Then what happens then? Even if you've worked with this manufacturer before, there's things that can happen, especially with the tariff situation that we're in now, currently. Anything could happen between now and delivery, and even after delivery, that causes this order to be delayed. So I don't think that in the state of the world, it's fair to hold smaller businesses as accountable as you would billion-dollar companies. But that's me personally. I like to keep all issues in-house. I'm a Black woman. Hanifa is a Black-owned African brand. And I just choose not to go on social media or platforms where it could discourage or disparage Black-owned or Black-facing companies in a negative way, because I am somebody who looks a little deeper, digs a little deeper, and understands that a lot of these Black-owned companies that don't have these issues, whether it's in fashion, skincare, or beauty, a lot of them who portray that they're Black-owned are Black co-founded. A lot of brands that present that they're Black-owned are Black co-founded. They're not Black singularly owned. And that's for you to do your own research and figure out. But a lot of brands present that they're Black owned and they're not Black owned, they're Black co-founded. So that co-founder might have more resources, more equity, more resources to get things done, like in all honesty. And that's where we are. It's the resource game. I remember a few years ago, or I don't really remember when, hopefully I can attach a screenshot here somewhere in the video, or if you're listening, watch it on YouTube, about when Hanifa reached its first $1 million in gross sales. And for some of the people who are familiar with Hanifa, they've been around for about 10 years or a little bit over than that. And for them to reach $1 million in revenue, and that's revenue, that's not gross product sales, that's revenue. That means that they haven't done millions and millions of dollars of sales. So that means that they're still a beginner brand, whether you believe it or not, whether you understand it or not. The impact sometimes beats the numbers. The impact can be here, but the numbers, if the numbers don't match the impact, then sometimes people's perceived value of something will make it more than it actually is. And in layman's terms, you perceive the brand to have all of this money because of how many celebrities and people see talk about this brand, versus the money and the capital that they actually have and what they're working with. While that is not the consumer's problem, and there are very real concerns with customer service that I've seen people respond with, that I also share sentiments with. Again, breaking one thing down at a time, the perceived value and what they're able to do is so much different than what they're actually able to do. And I wish that people understood that gross product sales doesn't mean that's how much the brand owner has or the brand owner walks away with, or that's not the overhead that comes out of the brand owner's pockets or the brand's pockets. There's so many different things. So I remember seeing them come up with an office, so they have either a rent or a mortgage on that office space. They have employees who work there. That is the overhead. Then they have the designs of the products, the research and development, the fabric, the packaging, the this, the that. So say if they made $1 million in a year, all of these things have to come out, and then probably the owner is getting the less of it. You understand? That makes it easier to understand as a consumer. But again, consumers don't really care about that. So let's talk about what consumers care about. So consumers care about customer service. And in my instance, I have went through customer service nightmares and I've worked through them in ways that I'm so glad that I've dealt with them in earlier seasons of my life rather than opposed to now in current seasons of my life, because I don't even know if I could afford to make some of the same mistakes that I've made in the past. And I don't want to make some of the mistakes that I've made in the past. So something that's really helped me was autoresponders. Even though people hate autoresponders, people also love autoresponders because they give people the sense of somebody is working in this company 24/7. Should somebody be working 24/7? No, because people deserve rest, relaxation. And that goes on to another whole conversation about capitalism that we're not making the space for right now. But it's so heavy with that conversation. I want to have that conversation one day, not right now. But yeah, so people expect customer service 24/7 because of this Jeff Bezos, Amazon, instant delivery type of world that we live in right now. People expect it. So even though it's not a human, if somebody sends an email, they get an autoresponder, hey, we received your request. We will get back to it within this amount of time. This is what we're even putting in the autoresponder, like commonly asked questions or frequently asked questions. So if the question was about that, then there you go. Somebody automatically has an answer to it. So an autoresponder and like triggers to send people the answer to a question that they might be asking. Like example, our brand, if somebody emails us and it's asking for a tracking number because maybe they have two different emails. They paid on Apple Pay. Their Apple Pay email doesn't match the regular email that they use. This happens so many times. And maybe they didn't see that they received the tracking number. So they email with the order, with the email that they use for their order. And then they'll automatically be given an autoresponder that says, hey, this is your tracking information, this is the status, this is X, Y, and Z, and there you go. You don't even have to have an employee to do that. You program it one time and it's done. So a lot of times people were asking about when they're going to get the pre-order, because I even pre-ordered something and the delivery date, I believe, said January 19th, 29th, something like that. And I didn't end up getting the order until February. Now, it wasn't an issue to me because number one, I didn't plan on wearing the items because it's winter. We had back-to-back snowstorms. It's knit, but it's breathable knit, which you wear in summer. Like, it's a maxi dress, babe. Like, I wasn't gonna wear that in the winter time. Like, it just wasn't happening. So I did feel, and I understood people's sentiments upon reading it, why they felt like if you knew even a day before you were gonna fall short on the delivery date or the shipment date, that they should have been contacted. And especially with me doing in-person business on a day-to-day basis, I understand how important communication is and how frequently people may need communication. Say somebody runs 10-15 minutes late coming to an appointment. That could mess up our entire day if we give that person their entire time. So say they have a 50-minute treatment scheduled from 12 o'clock to 12:50, and they come 10-15 minutes late, and we want to squeeze them in for the correct amount of time. Our next appointment doesn't begin until 1 o'clock. But say we add that 10 minutes of time, now we don't have time to do other things like turn over the room, to sanitize everything properly. And that just gets in the way of the rest of the day. So communication is very important because we're having so many mini interactions on a day-to-day basis that we need to make sure that every customer knows what to expect and knows what to, baby, 10-15 minutes late, sorry, that time has to be deducted from your appointment. We can give you the rest of the amount of time that you have for your treatment because you booked the 50-minute treatment, but your time slot is from 12 to 12:50. So we need to honor that time and give you the rest of the time that you showed up for so we can keep our schedule on track for the rest of the day. If we had time available, we would give you the time that was missed, but we don't have that today. So sorry about that. Like, that's how quickly you can solve something. And in the case of a pre-order, if you don't have something available and a day before, like, come on, a day before you're not shipping something that is on pre-order. So let the people know, give them a call. I personally give people calls because people honor that. Like, and as an owner, as a founder, like, even if it was 100 people that I had to give calls, do you understand how, like, happy that makes somebody knowing that you personally gave them a call or you personally emailed them to let them know that their order is delayed? This is the reason why we're so sorry about that. And we will definitely, like, you are in our thoughts and in our mind, and we're actively working on resolving this situation. And let's, like, keep communication. Thank you so much for being a customer of ours and supporting our business. That, it just goes so much longer than just no communication at all. And I think, honestly, that's what people were asking. And I understand as a business owner how easy it is to just, like, hide and do the work and try to get it resolved fast. So many times I've tried to do that in so many different ways, and it's never worked out the best. It's always been just, like, head-on communicating what you're doing, when you're doing it, while you're doing it, so people know. Because people will still complain, even if you keep all of the communication going. So it's better to do it, have a track record, have things on file that you did. I did keep communication. I did say these things, so people can't be confused and contrarian when, you did keep communication. It's easy to hide on social media or off of social media. It's easy to just, like, not communicate, but it's a longer and harder and more self-growth role to communicate issues, to keep going, and to just break things down. Like the average consumer doesn't know, doesn't care, but there are people who will know, who will care, and who will just appreciate a simple call. Now, business owners and being a business owner is so unrelatable to tie into my original point because of people's expectation versus reality of it. Now, I understand people having an expectation that when I buy something that's on pre-order, you have worked out all the mechanics in your head because you are a business owner and you are a business. And being treated as a business, businesses succumb and they fall under certain practices. Like this has to be handled a certain way. Communication should be ran a certain way. Communication should be had a certain way. The customer, and when you're thinking about modern day capitalism, the customer is always right. The customer is always should be always included in things. And you took someone's money, so you have the responsibility to give them a product, a service, or this or that. You know, those things are understandable 100, 1,000%. And I'm not saying a but. This is not a but. This is not a but moment. In that same voice and aspect, people of color, African Americans, Africans, people who have a lot of melanin in their skin, we have had the disappropriate amount of funding, wealth, and knowledge in entrepreneurship. Domestic fashion house like Aritzia, who owns I think between 10 or 11 different in-house brands in their own shopping economy, whose parents came from retail as well. So these things were passed on companies that look like they spring out of nowhere, or it comes from somebody who has the knowledge and experience or family background in that type of field, like retail. The owner of Aritzia, I believe his father was a owner of another retail chain. So them creating the retail structure and the backing and the financing and just like the ecosystem that Aritzia is off of the knowledge that was gained by the previous generation. How do we get to that generation if we don't have generational businesses? Now, it's been very popular for people, not only Black people, but people in general, to buy, start, or have businesses and then sell them later on. But if we're the African American, people of color, melanated people who have just started something and we're selling it off before we can even master it completely, get the blueprint to start 2 and 3 and 4 of these things, how can we ever give the recipe to someone else to pass down and tell them this is the right way to do it, to scale, to create an ecosystem within your brand? If we don't have access and are granted access because of our color, our race, our ethnicity, where we come from, our ability to acquire and access funds, how do we overcome certain hurdles? I really want to know that. Other than customer service, how does a brand like Hanifa overcome some of the circumstances when we don't own the factories, we don't own the supply chain, we don't own people that look like us, don't own these things? How do we make a difference? And that is the conversation that I want to have in the comments, okay? So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I really want more for our people. I want us to have certain conversations in-house and stop having them out on public platforms, because it just draws awareness of how much or how far our people have to go and how we treat each other as a culture, how we view each other as a culture, and how far we're going to go as a culture. And it honestly gets me so sad and upset And I honestly wish that we lived in a society and in a ecosystem where there was more collaborations across brands and across, I would say, categories, because that's fashion, I'm beauty, where we could give systems and things to each other so we can learn how to handle these things at mass and at scale. Because I think these are the things that are stopping certain brands, including myself, from being a global brand. And again, I keep saying this, and I really hope that somebody hears me out there when I say that Black-owned brands are not always Black-owned, ran, and founded. So there are plenty of Black-owned brands out there who have co-founders who are not Black people. So that's how they have sometimes the access to capital in spaces that we don't usually have. Because again, we're not in control of production flow with pretty much anything. Pretty much anything. I can think of a lot of things, from even getting packaging made. Where are the Black-owned packaging companies? Where at scale, who can give me the same cost as a Uline, who can give me the same cost as a Pack Lane or Packola, or you understand, like, where are those packaging companies? Where are the label companies that can give me the same prices as brands like Sticker Mule or other things? And I'm not trying to promote these things, because I once found out that, one of those brands that I mentioned had a affinity for Monsieur Cheeto. And I was like, never again. I'm not using my Black-owned dollars for my Black-owned business to put towards this brand that is so far away from what I believe in, and the clients who come to me believe in, that I'm going to continue to support them. So, just as a people, I want to keep this conversation going, but shifting the focus off of Hanifa and going towards Black-owned brands in general, and knowing what the call to action is going forward. Because for me, I think it's simple systems like auto customer service, and creating plans for when pre-orders and things like that don't quite pan out for how we predict them to go out. And if I was Hanifa, what I would have done was got one of my assistants or someone to create a phone list and call each person individually. And that might have taken me maybe 2 days to do, but it would have been done. You understand? Or 3 days or 4 days. I don't know the scale of how many orders she got. I just know how many, I know that she has over 100,000 orders, but I know that she didn't get 100,000 in one day. I know that her and her team could have split up the call log and gave people a call, gave people emails, had autoresponders in place for when people reached out so they can receive an instant response, had it up on the website to let people know. And sometimes people don't want to do that because it can deter from sales, but I would rather do that than have the people start doing chargebacks, right? Have the people start requesting the money back, because people also don't know, when people do chargebacks on businesses, we also inquire a chargeback fee, and that fee can range from anywhere from $75 to $150 in addition to what the person did. So, to avoid that could have been done. But yeah, I would love to continue this conversation and down in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in to the latest episode of Behind the Beauty Podcast. This is Imani Monet, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye.